It's midnight and you are tuning in to Nightline with me, Adrian Seet. The top stories. More than 179,000 migrant workers set to enter Malaysia by end of May. And at least 16 injured in New York subway station shooting. We begin the bulletin with this story. A total of 61 Sekolah Menengah Agama Nurul Islam students from AHTV near Jitra Kedah were rushed to hospitals and clinics after inhaling sulfuric acid vapours after a spill occurred in an incident on Tuesday. Kubang Pasu District Police Chief Superintendent Rodzi Abu Hassan said the spill occurred around 11:30 a.m. when 3 workers from a contractor company were moving and transferring barrels of expired sulfuric acid. Following the spill, the wind had spread the vapours into a classroom where the students were studying, causing most of them to experience nausea and headaches. The students, 9 boys and 52 girls, aged 14 to 17, were then taken to Jitra Hospital, Sultana Bahia Hospital in Alustah and AHTV Clinic for treatment and were reported to be in stable condition. A team from the Jitra Fire and Rescue Station was dispatched to the location of the incident after receiving a distress call at 12:20 p.m. The team finished cleaning the chemical spill and carried out ventilation work by 2:45 p.m. Our headlining story. The government will approve the intake of 179,451 migrant workers in 5 critical sectors, with the first batch set to be processed before the end of this month. Human Resources Minister Dato Sri M. Saravanan said the first group of workers involving 24,560 applications will complete the interview stage on April the 27th, while the rest will be approved in the period of 6 weeks.
154,890 orang akan masuk sebelum dalam masa 6 minggu daripada sekarang akan diselesaikan. Jadual temuduga disusun semula supaya tiada bertunggakan pada masa hadapan di mana 260 sesi setiap minggu kita akan adakan temuduga.
Dato Sri Saravanan in a media conference on Tuesday also said as of April the 7th, the ministry has received a total of 519,937 applications to hire foreign workers since February 15th, of which over 50% or 290,939 applications have yet to be submitted by 2,578 employers who applied. He added that a total of 40,000 applications to hire foreign workers were also rejected for not meeting the requirements, were incomplete or involved sectors that are still being frozen, such as scrap metal, gold shops, clothing shops and barber shops. Dato Sri Saravanan also stated that he would submit a request to the Home Minister, Dato Sri Hamzah Zainuddin, to reconsider the reopening of several sectors which were frozen from foreign workers' recruitment due to security factors. He also gave his assurance that all foreign workers will be required to undergo induction courses before working in Malaysia to ensure that they were exposed to labour and workers' rights to avoid being oppressed or abused by employers. Meanwhile, Dato Sri Saravanan also revealed that approximately 10,000 maids are expected to arrive in the country after Hari Raya. He said the Indonesians are amongst the first batch to enter Malaysia as domestic helpers.
So made the first batch, I'm looking at approximately about 10,000 from Indonesia. At the same time, I'm also talking to other countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, Sri Lanka and Nepal, Bangladesh to bring in maids.
Dato Sri Saravanan said in the near future he would be visiting Cambodia and Vietnam to discuss bringing in foreign workers, especially for the domestic helpers sector. He noted that the application process for maids in countries apart from Indonesia will be dependent on the source country. When asked about the minimum household income of 7,000 ringgit to employ a maid, the minister said Indonesia made such a condition as they felt that maids were not paid their salaries, as those with a 3,000 ringgit household income could also apply for a maid. He added that the ministry would be looking very closely at the implementation of the 7,000 ringgit household income condition, noting that the high cost may prevent legitimate workers from entering the country. 12 men who were tricked and forced to work for scam syndicates in Cambodia have finally come home. They arrived at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, at around 2 a.m. on Tuesday via a flight from the country.
Setelah sebelum ini pun meneruskan kerjasama melalui kedutaan kita di Phnom Penh untuk meneruskan kepulangan mereka. Selain itu, kerjasama yang telah diadakan di pihak PDRM dengan pihak polis Cambodia melalui Asiana juga turut dipergiatkan dan alhamdulillah kita syukur bahawa mereka dapat pulang ke Malaysia hari ini.
It was reported that all the victims were amongst 16 Malaysians detained in Cambodia on April the 4th in an operation to eliminate scam crimes by local authorities. 4 others, including a woman, are still in the country as they have to undergo quarantine after being tested positive for COVID-19. It was understood that the victims were held captive and forced to work as scammers by a syndicate in Prias Sihanouk after being duped through Facebook with lucrative job offers as customer service officers in Cambodia. Upon arrival to the country, however, their travel documents were seized while their movements were controlled and they were kept under tight security by the syndicate. Meanwhile, Bukit Aman Criminal Investigation Department CID Director Dato Sri Abdul Jalil Hassan said the police have received 35 reports involving 45 Malaysians believed to be still stranded abroad in countries such as Myanmar, Thailand and Laos.
Dan kita ketahui, kita yakin ada lagi mangsa-mangsa yang waris-waris mereka belum lagi membuat laporan. Kita minta mereka tampil ke depan untuk membuat laporan bagi memudahkan pihak kita mengesan di mana kedudukan waris-waris mereka yang terkandas di negara-negara berkenaan.
The development of the Automotive High-Tech Valley, AHTV, can make Malaysia a hub for electric vehicle manufacturers and component suppliers for the ASEAN market or even a wider market. Prime Minister Dato Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the project would be able to attract foreign investors, especially from China and other countries, as it has the potential to strengthen the automotive ecosystem in the region.
Jika di negara lain seperti Amerika Syarikat boleh bangga dengan Detroit, sebuah daerah yang terkenal dengan industri pembuatan keretanya, tidak mustahil satu hari nanti Tanjung Malim akan dikenali sebagai hub permotoran yang hebat di rantau ini.
He said this during AHTV's launch in Tanjung Malim Perak on Tuesday. Dato Sri Ismail Sabri added that Tanjung Malim would see an economic overflow from the activities of the development project, which is expected to generate 370,000 jobs during construction and 160,000 jobs when it is operational. He also pointed out that other developments that have an economic chain reaction, such as industrial parks and property development for commercial purposes as a whole, have the potential to generate 32 billion ringgit by 2030. The development of AHTV was proposed more than 10 years ago to strengthen Proton's manufacturing operations from Shah Alam, Selangor to Tanjung Malim to make it more centralized and increase productivity. To meet the needs of the country's automotive sector in terms of trained manpower, education and research, Dato Sri Ismail Sabri also suggested for a Centre of Advanced Automotive Research and Training, CAART, to be developed within the AHTV region. This is to ensure that the demand and supply in terms of the latest technology, training and human resources at AHTV can be sustained in a productive manner. Businessman Nikki Liow pleaded not guilty to 26 counts of money laundering and possession of illegal money amounting to more than 36 million ringgit at the Shah Alam Sessions Court on Tuesday. The 34-year-old claimed trial after the charges were read by an interpreter before Judge Helena Sulaiman, who set the next mention of the case on May 26. According to the first of 24 charges, the accused and 3 companies linked to him were charged with directly engaging in transactions from money laundering activities involving over 33.7 million ringgit. On 2 more charges, he was accused of possessing receipts of money from the same unlawful activities involving more than 2.29 million ringgit. All the offences were allegedly committed at 2 banks in Bandar Puteri Puchong and Ampang from 2016 to last year. The charges framed under the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds from Unlawful Activities Act provides a maximum of 15 years prison sentence and a fine not less than 5 times of the total amount or value of proceeds from the illegal activity of 5 million ringgit, whichever is higher upon conviction. The court allowed Liow bail at 1 billion ringgit to be paid in installments on Tuesday and Wednesday with 2 guarantors, and for the accused to report to the Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department twice a month. On Monday, it was reported that the father of 2, who had been on the run since March of last year for allegedly masterminding one of the biggest Macau scam syndicates in the country, surrendered voluntarily to the police. The government is reviewing the existing housing financial model to better suit the needs of Malaysians in improving home ownership in the country, especially those in the B40 and M40 income groups. The Housing and Local Government Ministry's Housing and Community Wellbeing Deputy Secretary General, Dato Ahmad, said many people, especially youths, have failed to secure housing loans and own homes despite having a steady income. Dato Asa said those without a fixed income and were involved in the gig economy were also finding it difficult to access financing facilities to buy homes despite being willing to pay, as banks are not able to approve their application due to insufficient documents to support their repayment ability.
Telah meminta supaya Bank Negara Malaysia untuk melihat kembali model pembiayaan sedia ada yang digunakan oleh institusi kewangan, terutamanya dalam aspek penilaian risiko pinjaman kepada bakal pembeli. Macam saya sebut tadi, banyak pembeli-pembeli yang tidak berjaya dari segi permohonan mereka.
He said to address this, the government will be launching the iBiaya initiative, which provides 3 financing schemes. They are My First Home Program by Cagamas SRP Berhad, Credit Scheme by Syarikat Jaminan Kredit Perumahan or SJKP, and the Rent to Own Scheme for One Malaysia Housing Program, Prima Homes. The program is set to be launched by Housing and Local Government Minister Dato Sri Rizal Marikan Naina Marikan and Finance Minister Dato Sri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz on Thursday. More local updates later in the bulletin, but first, after this short break, Ukraine to investigate reports of chemical weapon used by Russia. At least 16 people were injured, including 7 who were shot when a suspect set off a smoke grenade and unleashed a gunfire on a Brooklyn subway train on Tuesday morning rush hour. At the moment, a manhunt is underway as details continue to emerge in this developing situation. According to authorities, the bloody attack broke out around 8:30 a.m. local time on a Manhattan-bound N train at the 36th Street station in Sunset Park, where authorities discovered several undetonated devices. The suspect, who was dressed in apparent construction garb similar to a transit worker and donning a gas mask, is believed to have set off the smoke grenade moments before gunfire erupted. None of the injuries are considered life-threatening at this point. But so far, no arrests have been made, and schools in the area went into a shelter-in-place as the search continues. The New York Police Department's bomb squad was at the scene investigating, and authorities were scouring surveillance to try and identify the suspect. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Tuesday that Moscow's military operation in Ukraine would undoubtedly achieve what he said were its noble objectives. Moscow, he said, had no other choice but to launch a military operation to protect Russia, and that a clash with Ukraine's anti-Russian forces had been inevitable.
Это очевидная вещь. Это было неизбежно. Вопрос был только во времени. То, что мы делаем, помогая людям, спасая их от нацизма, с одной стороны, а с другой стороны, предпринимая меры обеспечения безопасности самой России, очевидно, что другого выбора у нас не было. Это правильный шаг. И то, что цели будут достигнуты, нет никаких сомнений.
Speaking during a visit by his Belarusian counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko, to the Votochny Cosmodrome in Russia's Far East, Putin added that the main objective of Moscow's military intervention in Ukraine was to save people in the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine, where Russian-backed separatists have been fighting Ukrainian forces since 2014. To date, millions of Ukrainians have been forced to flee the country since Russia sent tens of thousands of troops into Ukraine in what is called a special operation to degrade its southern neighbor's military capabilities and root out people it called dangerous nationalists. In the meantime, Ukraine was checking unverified information that Russia may have used chemical weapons while besieging the southern Ukrainian port city of Mariupol. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar said on Tuesday there is a theory that these could be phosphorus munitions. Russia's defense ministry did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The United Kingdom and the United States have said they are aware of reports that Russia may have already used chemical agents in Mariupol. The cabinet minister said the UK will respond and all options are on the table if it is proven that Russia used chemical weapons in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday warned that Russia could use chemical weapons in Ukraine. Sri Lanka will temporarily default on its foreign debts amid its worst economic crisis in over 70 years. According to Finance Ministry, although the government has taken extraordinary steps in an effort to remain current on all of its external indebtedness, it is now clear that this is no longer a tenable policy. It added the country needs a comprehensive restructuring of these obligations as the impact of the pandemic and the Ukrainian war made it impossible to pay its creditors. Credit rating agencies have not verified and yet classified the move as a default. The South Asian country has seen mass protests as it suffers food shortages, soaring prices and power cuts. After the break, actions from the AFC Champions League. Stay with us. Sports, tennis, the Monte Carlo Masters. Dan Evans advanced to the second round following a convincing straight-set win over Benjamin Bonzi on Tuesday. Evans started brightly, taking the first set 6-love. Bonzi provided some fights in the second set, but Evans kept cool to emerge winner with a 7-6 victory. Evans next faces either David Goffin or Jiri Lakeshka for a place in the last 16. Still to come on Nightline, a driving against traffic viral video, man arrested. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us. Former Deputy Prime Minister Dato Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi will answer his 47 charges involving criminal breach of trust, corruption and money laundering charges in relation to Yayasan Akal Budi funds on Wednesday. His counsel, Hamidi Muhammad Noor, said his client will be the first witness to take the stand when the defence trial begins at 9 a.m. before High Court Judge Dato Colin Lawrence Sekiera. The judge had previously fixed 39 days to hear the defence's case between April to November this year. The Bagan Dato Member of Parliament opted to testify under oath from the witness stand, with the prosecution given the opportunity to question the accused during cross-examination. On January 24th, the judge ordered Dato Sri Ahmad Zahid to enter his defence on 12 criminal breach of trust charges, 8 for corruption and 27 for money laundering involving tens of millions of ringgit belonging to the foundation. The judge ruled that the prosecution had proven all the ingredients of all the charges and successfully made out a prima facie case against the accused. Police have arrested a man for allegedly driving a car against the flow of traffic before crashing into 2 motorcyclists. The incident was reported to have occurred at kilometre 30.1 of the South Klang Valley Expressway, SKVE, heading towards Bandar Saujana Putra. Kuala Langat District Police Chief Ahmad Ridwan Muhammad Nur Saleh said the 42-year-old man was detained after he sought treatment for head injuries at the Banting Hospital at about 4 p.m. He said that at the 2 p.m. incident, the car was first involved in a collision with a motorcycle that stopped in the emergency lane near the Tanjung 12 SKVE rest and service area. The driver of the car continued to go against the traffic in the emergency lane and then collided with another motorcycle. Both motorcyclists, who suffered injuries to the legs and arms, were sent to the same hospital for treatment. Another prisoner who escaped from the Jelebu prison on Sunday has been detained by police, making him the 3rd out of 7 escaped prisoners re-arrested so far. Jelebu District Police Chief Deputy Superintendent Maslan Udin said the suspect, 32-year-old Shazwan Mat Sharif, was arrested at 4 a.m. on Tuesday near Titi by a team from the Jelebu prison. He said the police and the prisons department will continue its manhunt for 4 more remand prisoners still at large. He also appealed to the public not to spread fake information as it can jeopardize police investigations and public order. The 7 are believed to have escaped through a hole in the ceiling in one of the blocks and later through another hole in the fence, which is believed to have been cut with wire cutters. One of the prisoners, in his 50s, was re-arrested on the same day, while a second prisoner, who is awaiting trial for murder, was detained the following morning. That's all for Nightline this time around. As we wrap up Nightline, let's take a look at a vintage electric Jaguar that David Beckham splashed out as a wedding gift for his son Brooklyn and his newly wedded wife Nicola Peltz. Built by Lunas, a company that Beckham is an investor in, the electric $500,000 XK140 was created by the firm's 120-person strong team at its headquarters in Silverstone. With that, I'm Adrian Seet. Thank you for watching, and to all our Muslim viewers, Selamat Bersahur.